So leading off from yesterday, where we, I guess, an update in super recently and then going through the borrowings in detail. The next topic is looking at super, what is new at the moment and what's come out from the ATO and also some cases and things like that recently. So first of all, we've had, about this time last year, the Tax Office released this Taxpayer Alert 2010-2, and the issue was obviously contributions is a big area of concern at the moment. Many more people are getting excess contribution notices of assessment, and take much for someone to be pushed over their concessional cap, given that they've halved the caps, and then that excess counts towards the non-concessional cap, and then people are inadvertently triggering bring forward periods and things like that. So it is a bit of a concern at the moment. And at the time that, or prior to this time, prior to the 29th of March last year, a lot of lawyers in the industry, in their wisdom, considered whether or the trust deed for the fund could be amended and provide that the trustee of the fund was required to aggregate all contributions and return the excess to members. Now, the actual ability to aggregate contributions and return the excess to members, there's only one provision that allows for that, and that's SIS Regulation 7.04, and it's only an single contribution that's able to be returned to the contributor. So a lot of lawyers put some drafting into these trust deeds stating that the trustee is required to aggregate all contributions for each member made to the fund, and then once those are aggregated, if they're in excess, they're then able to return excess to the contributor. Now, the ATO looked at this.
Good morning, Tina there.
And someone hasn't muted their line, sorry. The ATO looked at this and brought out this particular taxpayer alert, and they said that if trustees rely on those clauses in their trust deed and they act upon them, then the super fund will breach the contribution standards, the payment standards, and the person who promoted that particular course of action to the fund may be caught under the promoter penalty regime. So really quite harsh in terms of the ATO's view here. Now, in terms of the industry, particularly some of the lawyers who had drafted these clauses into their trust deeds, they were basically that they disagreed with the tax office's view. However, as I said right at the start yesterday, in the absence of any litigation or objecting to the tax office and taking it through the courts, really the tax office's view is what most people are taking on board. So in this case, many of those deeds have since been amended. Now, the reason why I bring this up is for your clients having a look at their trust deeds and making sure that these clauses are not in there. If they are in there, making sure that if it is, it's a may clause, not a must clause. And because some of these deeds were drafted such that it said the trustee of the fund must aggregate the contributions of each member and return the excess. So because it was a must and a requirement of the trustee, if they obviously went ahead with that particular requirement, then they would, the tax office would be looking at them very closely, and they would likely breach the contribution standards and the payment standards, etc. If they did not aggregate those contributions and return the excess, then they would be breaching the governing rules of the fund. So in that case, you'd need to amend the deed. Some of the deeds were drafted, however, where the clause was a may clause, so the trustee may aggregate contributions and return the excess to members. So in that case, that deed doesn't necessarily need to be amended. So really just having a look at your clients who may have established a self-managed super fund at the end of 2009 and the start of 2010, or if they had their deed amended over that period of time.